with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. On tonight's agenda, we're going to start out with a non-public session with our acting police chief. Then we're going to open up the bids for our HVAC quotes, review various board and committee memberships, take a look at the leasing or purchase of a loader, and Peter's here to give his input, and then on to old and new business. So, right off the bat, I'll make a motion to go into non-public under section 91A3, section 2A and
Second.
B.
And B.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
The highest one has no electrical.
Okay.
As Doug said, they're going. What area? That's the one in the middle. Hey, Jim. Did I get that to you or not?
No, that's okay.
I figured I'd say.
Hey, Dave.
I know, I'm
You're
doing
right,
all
we
these
came
things.
out with the same numbers, probably.
Probably.
Yeah,
Looks like it.
yeah. How
All
about
right,
that?
we're good.
Okay, what do we got? HVAC.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Okay.
It's what, the best we can do in New Webster.
So,
So we got three proposals,
if you don't
Okay.
have,
and
you have that? Okay.
we got proposals from Weatherby Plumbing and Heating,
I think that's Sean,
Oh,
Jason's.
Jason's.
KPMB Enterprises, and Precision Temperature Control. Now, I did not make copies for everybody, but I will bring these up. I thought we'd have three selectmen, and they could all read one at a time and pass them around, but we don't, so
I think Bert had an extra one.
there you go.
You gonna, yeah,
Oh, of
Okay.
those.
you need that?
No, that's yours.
Oh, okay, I've got an extra.
Oh, yeah, that's your, okay.
It's Jason's.
Anybody else want a copy?
No, oh, what?
Okay. Okay, so the bids all came in on time. They all came in electronically. One of them also put a bid in the mail on the 19th to accompany his electronic one that I got on the 19th. So I got two copies. And
Okay,
your expert has had a chance to analyze it.
I have, I've gone through them. I can cut to the chase. I'm gonna recommend that Weatherby do the fire department and the highway department, and that Precision Temperature Control do the town offices. I can go into my reasoning for that, but KPMB, they're the highest total bid anyway, but they probably may have been a typo, but they excluded electrical work, which was supposed to be included in the proposal.
Okay.
Weatherby is significantly lower for both the highway department and the DPW, fire department. And I've never worked with them before, but those are both hydronic boiler projects, and the product that they have specified, because I gave them pretty open rein of what to select, is a Viessmann boiler, and it's, as far as I'm concerned, the best boiler on the market right now. So I think that's a very good
Okay.
option for you.
Okay.
The one thing that I know, I think has slipped through the cracks, is the removal of the oil tank. And then when we were out in site, we had discussed that the town would take care of that, as opposed to having it go through the contractor to take care of it.
Mhm.
That's at the fire department. I know Peter has mentioned that they will take care of taking the oil from the tanks down in highway department and putting it into the waste oil boiler storage tank so that you can continue to use it there. And they will take out then the old tanks that are now going to be empty.
Okay.
And, because we also have attached in all, two of the proposals anyway, was the proposal from Chiardelli to provide free of charge the propane tanks. There'll be above ground tanks for both highway department and for the fire department. They will continue to own the tanks. They'll own all that infrastructure up to the buildings. And they gave a price of, I think, $169, $69.9 or $66.9. I don't have that memorized.
Well, it's,
Yeah, it's,
three.
either one is close enough within 3
I
cents.
guess the question I had, do we want, we already have Halfman.
They
We
were the only ones who showed up for the bid. I'm happy with you reaching out to them and seeing.
Okay,
what
well, I
they-
wasn't here when the bid went out.
No, I
so
understand.
Was this, did you expect the fuel company to show up at the bid?
I
Or is
expected
this an
the,
add-on to the
no,
bid?
in the scope of work, I expected the contractors to reach out to the fuel companies and negotiate a proposal from them directly.
I guess my question would be, do we want to?
You're free to,
Verify
because
that.
it's a separate part of the proposal. It's not connected to any of these three numbers.
Right.
So, feel free.
Yeah.
I mean, my take would be that we'd look at, you know, the existing supplier we have,
Mhm.
who,
I'm
and I can go find out what we're paying for fuel right now.
Yep,
Yeah.
And I mean, most of these companies will put in a tank.
correct. Especially above ground,
Yeah.
because, you know, it takes a lot less money to put it above ground than it does below ground. And I'm happy with you. That's a totally separate thing, no big deal.
Right, so
But it does need to
I
be
can
done
check
up at the
that.
fire, yeah,
Yeah.
it does need to be done up at the fire department, and it needs to be extended a larger capacity to the highway department,
Right.
because the only thing that's being fed there right now is a unit heater out in the Green Center Bay area there.
Okay. I've run into some problems with changing suppliers on propane tanks. They seem to only want to service their own,
Well, that's, yeah, that's,
proprietary
Takes
type
a
things.
special act of the governor, I think. I mean, under emergency circumstances, you can get somebody else to fuel you.
Right,
But it has to be like in a disaster or something.
yeah.
yeah, I'm not gonna use real strong words about propane suppliers, but they have a gig going on when they give you the tank for free. It's not for free.
Yeah.
Nobody else will fill it.
Right,
I made the choice of buying my own tank back in 1991 so that I can price it out with whomever I want to.
right. Would we be stuck in the same situation? if-
Well, you are, and so, back when Dave Lage asked me to work on this, Gary Somro from the Highway Department, who used to be the facilities manager up at Messinic, asked about the idea of a biomass / wood pellet / wood chip plant for up there. I got some preliminary pricing on that for the fire department, and Dave allowed us how, we're not sure how much longer we're gonna use the fire department building up there, so is it worthwhile putting that kind of investment in, for that kind of infrastructure up there? And I said, fine, so we can go with the propane. So I'm thinking that, without speaking for the rest of the town, that we're looking at, this is a temporary situation, utilizing the propane both up at the fire department and for the highway department. The proposal for the offices is changing over to heat pumps, which are all electric. We will retain the oil furnaces as a second stage / backup. So we're making some conversions from the fossil fuel, but I don't you know, I wouldn't worry about trying to buy your own propane tanks unless you really are investing in that for the long haul.
I've had some experience in the last town I worked for.
Yep,
I'm not gonna mention the name of the company, but it's one that covers the whole area here. And the prices we got, the municipal prices we got on propane were insanely low.
right.
And it was small volume. I mean, we were flat out amazed,
Yep,
that they could do it.
yeah, no, it's.
And they kept it.
Yep,
And they kept it, so I think it's worth, nothing wrong with the offer we got, but we should double check it.
that's fine.
And I wouldn't be too worried about them owning the tank, because,
As I said, I'm not telling you, I'm not telling the town how to look towards the future, but I would look at propane as your interim option.
and the other thing that I mentioned here was, I've spoken to the coordinator, the municipal type coordinator for Eversource. They have energy efficiency grants. And I says that, and he told me that once we get the bids in, we see what's being built and everything else, to give him a call. It probably won't be much, but there may be something in there for energy grants. And I'm thinking that it's probably the heat pumps.
Oh, it's the heat pumps, and it may be the heat pumps that I've specified for the offices down.
Right.
And the domestic water heater, which is a air source heat pump for that down there.
So, but the things that are on the heat pumps.
Yep. Well,
So
there's
I'm gonna
three-
be going after that too.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, one other concern that I had, those oil tanks, are they underground oil tanks?
The one up at the fire department, it would be, I'd call partial underground.
Okay,
It sank?
No, it's kind of, it's
Sticks
a
up
mound.
about
It's a
3 feet
mound
as
that kinda
laid
sticks
there
up.
and dirt was put on top.
Yeah.
yeah, well, my concern I had, you know, if it's underground, is when they go to fill those things, invariably they spill some of the oil.
Absolutely.
And when you pull that tank out, that oil has congregated at the bottom, much like the tanks at, say, a gas station.
Yeah.
And there's some environmental concerns that if the ground has been saturated with oil or something like that, you need special remedial
Absolutely.
treatment.
I gave the selectmen a couple of contact informations that were passed on by the Chiardelli people about taking that tank out. I'd suggest that maybe Peter can contact the DES from the state directly and see whether he can, with an inspector from the state being present, start to take the tank out. And with the idea that the inspector will say, yeah, this ground has got oil in it or not.
Yeah,
But it would be if it is not, then it'll be the least expensive option for us.
right. But if it does, are we prepared to pay for that?
Well, from what Jim told me about what you've got in your budget, in your capital for here, I think we have enough, in extra from over these prices if we accept the two
We do.
companies.
Yeah, well,
We have $334,980 at the beginning of the year. Can't use what you put in this year.
yeah, well, we could be looking at $10,000 extra per tank easily.
Well, no, this is only one above ground tank.
Oh, okay.
These are two, that's one below ground tank, and these two above ground
All
tanks,
right.
that's not an issue.
No,
It's-
correct.
It's only that
Okay.
one tank up at the fire
Okay.
department.
How big a tank is it?
I don't know.
75 or something?
No, no,
No, I think it's 500.
500?
I would guess 1,000, just
Okay.
guess.
That's a pretty good sized tank.
Well,
Okay.
it's actually kind of the minimum size underground that we used to do.
That's fine,
Actually,
okay.
you'd be digging out the dirt to where it's clean, hauling it away and backfilling it, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you have to, where you take that dirt is gonna be
Yeah,
in
A
a
It's-
special place where they.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you could end up hiring somebody like Clean Harbors or something along that line.
Yeah,
But I think, you know, I'm throwing Peter under the bus, but I think that he can probably negotiate that as well as anybody with the state and figure out what needs to be done. It doesn't need to be by a specialized, it's not rocket science.
Well, biggest thing, that tank's sitting on ledge too, that's why it's like,
Yeah.
Sean, do we need a motion to
Uh,
award the contracts as recommended?
So to repeat what the recommendation is, that we would accept Weatherby's proposal for the highway department. I got to point in the right direction here. And for
DPW and
tank
fire.
And fire, correct.
And fire.
Okay, and precision temperature control for the town office building.
Correct.
Yep.
And yes, the one from KPMB is proposed at, I think, $4,000 less for the town offices, but they did not include electrical.
mhm.
Okay.
And I know that Grace Electric was here when they did the bid, so that, that is included in precision, so.
Okay.
So where am I, in that, the 334,980 that we have in the trust, have we paid for the roof yet? Has that check gone out?
I don't know, we put a new roof on? I wasn't
Yeah.
here for that.
Yeah, but on the highway garage, replace that roof,
I have to go check on that. I have no idea.
yeah.
Peter, did they replace the roof over there?
yep.
Okay.
But they might be waiting on, last I knew we were waiting on skylights. Are
They're
those
all
still?
done, those are done.
Okay,
Have we been billed? I don't know.
alright,
Okay, I will check on roof costs, okay?
yeah.
How much, does anyone have any idea how much the roof was planned for?
There was in between 75 and 105,000, depending on what they found for rot. Like rotted steel.
Okay, it probably will work, but I will,
Mhm.
before I call anybody up and tell them you got it, I will check that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just make sure we have enough money in the kitty plus a couple bucks extra.
Yeah, but we have extra money in there, we just can't touch it. The money that went in this year,
Okay.
okay?
so,
you
so
can't
is the
touch.
334, like, is that what,
That's the end of last year.
okay, alright,
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're not caught out when we
No,
move that
no,
oil
we'll
tank.
double.
and I know that, so right now,
So it's
The fire
214,
depart-
it's 214, 154 is what I'm proposing that you accept
Yeah,
mhm,
between the.
and that leaves us about 120.
Right, so it
And
sounds
where-
like you got enough.
kinda where I'm at right now is I know like the fire department definitely needs to be done, the DPW work definitely needs to be done. The town office, like it hasn't shown any, signs of stress quite yet, so if we were going to approve anything, I'd be,
Okay, we'll make the DPW and the fire department priority number 1, and the others number 2, okay? Which we could defer to next year,
correct.
Yeah.
like January 2nd,
Mm-hmm,
because you would have the money that went in this year that you could use.
yep. Alright, so I'll make a motion to award the HVAC contract to Weatherby for the DPW boiler, water heater, and the DPW heat pump contract, and the fire department boiler for a total of $96,650.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So you can let them know, Jim.
Sean, what was that amount?
The
Okay.
DPW boiler / water heater is 56,000. The DPW heat pump is 20,400. And the fire department boiler is 20,250.
You want to add the town office subject to verification of.
Well, we'll review that separately.
Okay,
Mhm. That's why it's structured that way, so we kind of pick pieces and.
So Jim, when you contact them, I suggest that you set to volunteer Doug to review their submittals and answer any questions
Right,
that they have. You don't need to have it flow back to
Right.
you or anybody else.
no,
Okay.
you're the clerk of the works.
Yeah, the cheapest one you're ever gonna get.
Yes, thank you very much, Doug, for
Very
working
well.
on this.
Thank you.
Very well.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So I
Invaluable.
will, I will, should I let Precision Temperature Control know that they are preferred at this point, but we're gonna be looking.
Yeah, I
at the
think that would be
funding. I think we
courtesy
should give
anyway,
them a-
that we're, you know, if we have the money, we will, you know,
Right.
consider awarding it, but we have to check our balance sheet.
Or I can also ask them to hold the price to January or some other time.
Well, that may be tough.
I know.
We don't wanna do a heat system in January.
Well, no, I mean, the thing is, you could, really, this system could be installed while you're still occupied here.
Yeah.
It's totally separate from the oil furnaces
Yeah.
that you have, so it may turn out that, right now, all the contractors are, you know, very, very much booked. Come January, things may be different, so it may be,
Yeah,
maybe valuable.
just reach out as a courtesy and.
Yeah.
But we need to let everybody know
Yeah.
because this is where they stand.
Right.
Yep.
So they will all get a response. But there's 3 different responses.
Yep.
Yep. All right,
Yes with a big Y and.
well, that's,
yes
If
with a
they
small
ask,
Y.
I tell them to give me a call.
this is a good point, is, everybody being booked up and our backs up against the wall, like with winter coming
Yeah.
again, so, yeah, we're gonna get this going.
So our priorities, the fire department and
The fire department is the
fire
highest
department's
priority,
the number one, and right
second place
behind
is
that
that.
is the DPW.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah. And which one, like which portion would that be, Peter, the boiler water heater scenario, like that, you know, heats that end of the building, or?
Be both. Wow.
Yeah, it's so that when you take the old boilers out and you put in the new boilers, the domestic water goes away, so that's where you need to put in the hybrid air source heat pump.
Yeah, okay,
The air source heat pumps for the office areas, you don't need to have them there because they got a separate zone of heat off of the boiler system. So that's a lesser priority,
yeah,
but I would go with it.
yeah, yeah,
I may need your help too with Eversource, talking to them.
No problem. We do consulting for them as one of our clients, so
Okay.
I'd be happy to do that.
Thanks.
Okay?
cool, thank you, Doug.
You're very welcome.
You wanna hand me those?
Gentlemen?
So I don't-
What are you looking for?
Yeah, hold on.
Oh. Okay. Sean, can we flip highway department with board memberships, so that Peter can actually go home tonight?
Yep, absolutely. Just give me 1 second.
Okay, I have,
1 minute, Jim, before you start in on that.
okay, I got a handout.
And Windows shut me down too. so-
What's that?
And Windows shut me down, so I'm not on.
Oh, window shut you down.
Slow it
Somebody
down.
close the window? I can hand these out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, sir.
A minute, record. Cat, Milton. What do I got here? That's John Deere. John Deere, Milton. You got copies, right?
looking at?
What we have here is Peter has brought in proposals for a lease purchase of a loader. Municipal lease purchase. And there's two proposals, one from John Deere and which misspelled the name of New Ipswich. And from Milton, which got this which got the spelling right. Are we back on?
Yep.
Oh, okay, Peter, you wanna?
Well, if you look at, let's start with the cat, if you look at that, we're looking at a 930 cat. And for the lease purchase, would be a 7-year lease. For, I'm gonna say 23,400, give or take. And they're gonna give us a trade-in 25,000 for our old cat. A discounted price of 173,900 with the trade, it's 148,900. And the other thing with a cat is you're looking at a 7-year warranty on it. John Deere, they only give us a 5-year warranty.
Okay.
So the warranty on a cat is not extra, so that's including the bottom, bottom line price. John Deere didn't give me a price on the trade. But if you look at the beginning numbers on John Deere is 181.
Mm-hmm.
With cat, beginning price is 173.9. So, even just for example, if John Deere gave us 25,000, it'd still be over.
Yeah.
Caterpillar.
Yep.
I know Bird asked me, and I said I'd prefer a lease purchase if we could, because we got some other equipment coming down the road that think we need to be replaced, and what we have in capital reserve, probably replace those without doing a lease or anything.
Okay.
Peter, you mentioned two pieces of equipment. I think you were talking about a backhoe and a dump truck.
A backhoe and a dump truck, yes.
When were you anticipating or
While I was looking.
changing those out?
Probably next year.
Next year, okay. And when you and I discussed this, I think it was yesterday, you mentioned we have $300,000 plus or minus in the account. And a dump truck would be running us, what do you think, brand new?
About 175,000.
For a six,
That's outfitted.
that's a six-wheeler?
It'll be actually an oversized 1-ton.
Oh, what size, one?
Yeah. It's a 550 or a 4,500.
At $170,000?
Biggest expense, yeah. Well, the pickup, the chassis alone, you're looking almost
Okay.
80,000. Then plow and sander and wing on it, talking.
So fully outfitted, we're
Yes.
talking $170,000.
Yes.
Okay,
It could even be less.
yeah, okay. And the backhoe, what would you think that would be running?
Now you're pushing it. I'm gonna say probably 125,000.
Okay,
I think we paid less than 100 for the one we get now.
all right. And a loader. 150,000.
That's gonna be 14 years old next year.
Which the,
Both of them, the backhoe and the one ton.
okay, so they're,
one
they're in
ton's
desperate need.
One ton's got almost 150,000 miles.
All right, so you've got about 425,000, 400 and, $450,000 worth of expenses in the next 2 years. You've got $300,000 in the kitty,
Plus what we put in this year.
plus whatever we put in this year, and you said that's replenished at a current rate of 75,000?
Yes.
So unless we budget for it or warrant article it, we're gonna come up short. So I can understand why Peter wants to do a lease agreement. But when I ran the numbers on the CAT, which appeared to be the better deal, if we go with the lease to own arrangement, it's gonna cost the town an extra $16,000. Now, the interest rates are about 1.5% when you calculate it out. So that's not bad. Question to you, Jim, is you're a member of the trustees, right? Am I remembering correctly? You're on the board of trustees?
Yeah.
What is our current rate of return for our invested funds?
I can't give you an exact number, but it's not terribly high. It's
It's-
gonna be somewhere
I'd guess 0.5%, maybe?
0.5%, 0.75%.
Okay.
I will mention this to you, that you need to factor in. You can't take some money out of the trust and then lease purchase the rest. It's
No.
illegal,
I understand that.
okay?
So you'd have,
You could lease purchase, and then when you get partway down the line, you can buy out the lease from the trust. You can work it that way.
all right,
So that's a possibility
okay.
also.
The other question I had, and Peter, you can probably answer this better than Jim can. When we do repairs on these vehicles, what account does that come out of?
Comes out of what remains out of my budget.
Okay, so it's a separate than
Yeah.
the purchase, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, let me say this about both of the warranties on both these vehicles. The CAT has a 2,500-hour warranty, 7 years. And the John Deere has a 5-year, 3,000-hour warranty. Both those warranties aren't really worth much of anything. Typical use of a vehicle, and I think Peter will confirm this, is about 1,000 hours a year. They start to break down right around year 4. Basically, year 4, you're starting to look at hydraulics going kapoof. Right around year 6 or 7, you're looking at either a transmission or an engine or both. And a loader has a expected life of 10 years, service life, before it's pretty much junk and you're ending up leasing another vehicle to fit in the downtime. So even though they give you the warranty for something that breaks right off the bat, it's gone by year 4 and you're paying the full boat. So, and you should be thinking, when I did the analysis on these vehicles, with this sort of a cost, you should be thinking about replacing it right around year 7, year 8, not allowing it to get to the end of its effective service life of 10 years. Obviously, we're short money to do all the things we need to do, but do we want to dump an extra $16,000 to the dealer to run this thing out to 7 years to a point where we're ready to replace it again? So, I mean, there's some considerations there.
The only question I have, and I don't know the answer to it, is that, is the capital reserve on the highway equipment expendable by the selectmen, or does it take a vote of the town?
It's expendable.
It's inexpendable.
It's been made expendable,
Yes.
okay, I
Right.
just don't
Well,
remember.
the Board of Selectmen
Okay.
approved the decision of the
Right.
highway
That warrant
department.
article about 7 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know some were, and I just couldn't remember which ones were.
so,
So you have a choice.
yeah, it's a matter of, do we pay now or do we pay later? And do we pay more over a period of time, and knowing that we're actually paying an interest fee.
Well, and that interest is really, really low.
It is. But by the time we finish paying it off, we'll need another loader.
Well, one of the things you can do is, get that. It would have to come out of the budget. You can make a larger down payment, but I don't know what you have in your budget. It's not gonna work.
Is the,
If you buy it cash now, then when you get into the following year, you may be taking money out to buy a piece of equipment, and you may be doing a lease purchase on the other animal.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
or we have to,
Or you add more, you have an appropriation to go with it.
right, or we put a warrant article to buy, you know, a special piece of
Yeah,
equipment.
But X from the capital reserve and Y from taxation.
Right. So, I mean, you know, it opens the question. You're right, Sean, the interest rate is fairly low, and so forth, but I hate to spread payments out that far to a point where it's like a family car. You know, you take a 5-year loan out of the thing, or a 7-year loan, and by the time you finish paying it off, you're ready for another car.
Well, he just said the backhoe's 14 years old,
Yeah,
so that.
and it's been repaired and repaired and repaired.
But he's getting 25 grand for it.
No, the loader.
More.
For
Loader.
the loader he's getting.
Yeah, and repairs, we can expect to run somewhere around 60% of the cost of the vehicle. So if we're talking an original cost of 170,000 or so for the loader, we can expect to, over the life of it, to spend another 100,000 in repairs. Because we're gonna be doing engine, hydraulics every 4 years, the transmission, and then incidentals.
New joints.
So, it looks like it's an expensive proposition either way.
I think the first decision is if you're gonna buy one, which one do you wanna buy?
Well, I think the Cat has an excellent reputation. I think that's Peter's choice, one for parts and for, you know, maintenance.
Well, and if you look at, say, it's 7, 8 years down the road, trade-in value.
The trade-in value.
That's gonna be worth more than a John
Yeah,
Deere.
I mean, we could go looking for more prices, like for a Mitsubishi or a Komatsu, and there's and I looked at half a dozen other suppliers, all of which are made in India or China, or Japan. So, I'm pretty happy with the Cat. Just how do we pay for it?
yeah, likewise. So if we entered into this, the lease purchase, even if we cut down the number of years, that would have to come out of your budget, right?
First payment would be until next year,
Yeah,
which
okay,
we have to budget for
Yeah.
okay,
2022.
And then we put the ensuing payments
Yeah.
in Peter's budget, okay?
Yeah.
We could elect at some point, like halfway through it, if there's money in the capital reserve, to then not put well then take money out of the capital reserve, and pay it off.
Didn't you just, I'm confused, Jim. Didn't you just indicate you couldn't mix and match?
You can mix one way, but not the other way. You can't put money, you can't make payments from the capital reserve toward a lease purchase.
Okay,
But if you have a lease purchase, you can use that money to buy out the rest. In other
okay.
words, I have a 7-year lease, I'm 5 years into it, and I've got $46,000 to pay, and I have 46 in the capital reserve, because at that point, I'm buying it, I get the money. That capital reserve has to be used to purchase something we own, not something somebody else owns.
Yeah, 'cause technically, we don't own it until the last payment's paid.
That's right.
You pay $1 more, you
Yeah.
get the last payment, and it's yours.
okay.
And there's an escape clause on it too.
Yeah.
Municipal, it's a municipal lease purchase,
Yeah.
non-binding. And that's a pretty good interest rate for a non-binding lease.
Yeah, and it's not a bad interest rate, I don't disagree there. It's just that the repairs at year 7 are going to cost more than the machine is worth. You know, we're probably talking the machine is worth at the end of 7 years, somewhere around $60,000 to $70,000, and we'll be putting in a transmission and an engine at that point
Well,
for about that same price.
Do we have any
how old's
kind
the
of-
loader that we're replacing?
It's 2005,
2005.
Yeah, but
16 years old.
Yeah.
yeah, but it's been in the repair shop.
No, I know.
on,
Well, and right now we're looking at $25,000 just to fix it with no guarantees that
That'll
it'll
run
work
another year.
properly.
Yeah,
That's right.
So then I'm looking at 24,000. You know,
yeah, I
because
mean,
it definitely needs to be replaced.
oh, absolutely. I don't disagree with you there, I'm just,
And of course, the dealer can jazz it up cheaper and somebody will find a home for it probably.
yeah.
And it seems like they're giving us, a fair trade, a pretty good trade number.
Yeah, well, I told him what was wrong with it, I wasn't gonna stick it to him, so.
Yeah.
No, I think it's reasonable. It's just a
Only
matter
because
of, do
down
we
the road,
spend the money
find
now, or do we
something
spend the
else,
money
they'll-
later?
Won't forget us.
You know, and the differential is about $16,000.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we can cut that. Like if we decide to, pay it off sooner, I'm sure that, the payout price will be, we can cut that at any time, that interest amount.
Yeah, well, it's not really interest, it's the lease agreement, there's no interest per se to
Yeah.
it. I mean, I just
Oh,
calculated.
so it's just like a flat,
Right.
like once we enter into this, that's our final number.
That's our final number.
Gotcha.
You know, there's no agreement that you pay it off early, you get any sort of a discount.
Okay.
Well, if you pay it off early.
No, no, you don't, you pay the full amount of that 23 times 7. That's,
I've done leases and it didn't work that way.
well, it may be in the fine print, but what's in front of us is,
Right, what I've done before, and I've done it with other things where we paid off the lease early and there was a payoff. We just paid it off. In other words, we got to a certain year, we made that payment and we paid the balance of the principal and it was gone because the lease had a clause in it for early payment.
yes, and if the clause is there, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But we don't have,
We don't have the details of the
we don't
lease.
have the details of the lease.
Right, but most municipal lease purchases do have a payoff.
Okay, I mean, I'm good with
The ones
that.
I've done, I'm not saying this one does.
Yeah, I mean, and I would assume they would offer something like that. I mean, just to protect themselves and to protect us, or we could insist upon it. I think we could go either way on this.
Yeah. I feel more comfortable entering into the lease purchase than I do, expending that kind of money. Knowing the other pieces of equipment that are coming up.
Yeah, providing we consider that in our next budget analysis or next budget sessions, but yeah. Okay, I'll
Would
go.
it make you feel better, like, to see the lease terms first?
No, I don't really need to do that. I mean, we'll see that before we sign on the dotted line.
Mhm.
Well, we'll review it.
We'll review it, but we should decide which way we wanna go.
I agree with you, like with the cat, like it's lower,
Yeah,
better trade-in value. They worked harder on the price for us, so.
just one thing before we call for a vote. Peter, do we have any other equipment that's coming due? I know, we've deferred maintenance on everything.
Well, you're putting less hours on the grader because we're paving more dirt roads. That's gonna be 20 years old here in 3 years.
I don't even wanna know what that thing costs.
So,
You stop grading my road so often, you know.
well, you petition to have us pave it, I won't grade it.
That's sorry, I couldn't help it.
So we've got a grader that's
Yep.
ready to go.
Yep.
That's a
Oh,
three.
then you got, you know, dump trucks, I got one that's gonna be 10 years old next year.
And that's
Yeah.
about the effective life of
So
that.
it's-
Do we have another front end loader down at the landfill?
Yes.
Okay. Do we use that for anything other than landfill?
No, we use it for gravel and sand up there.
Okay, that's it.
Well, we use them both when we're crushing that screening sand.
Okay, so, but it never leaves the,
Well, it's kept up there because we had a gravel and sand pit up there, but they don't use it on Saturday to take care of the demo dumpsters, so we
all right, so we do have two of them. What sort of shape's that one in?
that's the one we just bought 2 years ago.
All right, so that's in fairly decent.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else is gonna go kaput?
New stuff today, could be good today and broke tomorrow.
Yep.
So, you know, the stuff we're buying now, it's got so many electronics and computers on it.
That's one thing I was gonna say is, you know, it sounds good to buy new. And it doesn't sound good to, like he was saying, put parts in it after 7 years, but a lot of times it's easier to put parts at it. The transmission falls out, you can put a new one in it.
Yep.
Some sensor goes, you send it up to the dealer and they, well, we're gonna keep it and diagnose it. And it's a hassle,
Yeah, it
and it's
is.
frustrating because you don't know what's going on, they don't know what's going
Yeah.
on. End of the story is you're
Yeah.
out of equipment.
Yeah,
So that is one, you know, like the grader 20 years old,
Yeah,
I mean, put some parts at it.
well, we put a motor
Yeah, but,
in it last year.
And, yeah, I understand it gets to a point where it's not worth it and if you can trade in and upgrade, but that new stuff can be very, very frustrating,
It'd be
Mhm.
costly.
yeah,
very costly.
the newer it is, the easier to just stop it up. All right.
yeah. Their motion?
I will move that we order the new 930 CAT with a 7-year annual upfront lease purchase payment of $23,259 per year,
I ask you to add something to that,
please.
that it be a municipal lease purchase agreement with escape clause.
So moved.
Okay. I'm looking at from that little narrow point of view.
Yeah.
Because that's what, when we see the lease, that's what we have to look for.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Don't run
Thank
off
you,
yet,
Peter.
Peter. Got a couple other questions for you since we have you here. Can I?
Yep, go for it.
Okay. Question about the tree trimming, mowing along the streets and stuff. Where are we? Are
I can't get anybody to come in.
not gonna do it this year?
Well, it's not that I don't want to, I can't find anybody to do it. I don't have a piece of equipment that I can use to mow side mow. We used to rent one, that guy's out of business,
Okay.
and everybody else is all booked up right now.
So what are we going to do about it?
Probably not gonna do anything about it.
So just let it grow until next year?
Yeah, so I'll have to start early, get an agreement for next summer. Unless you guys wanna purchase the roadside mower.
What would that cost us?
You're probably talking 50 to 100 grand. And that's just for using.
Okay. All right, question answered. Jason had a question about flags. You said they were up?
New ones are up.
Okay. Everybody's happy there.
I saw the loader go out.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, I'm not done yet.
Just
Yeah.
for jumping on that.
Yep. Mountain View is on the top of our list for paving. Any idea as to when that's going to get started?
Anytime now. The weather's, puts everything behind a day or two.
All right, well, looks more like a week or two, but, All right, so you figure within the next 3 weeks by May,
Oh, yeah.
maybe mid-September?
Well, the schedule was paved in mid-September. And
Okay.
we're looking at August 13th to come and start grinding,
Okay. All right. Okay, we had a petition a while back for Blueberry Lane in front of us. I happened to take a ride out there. Looks like the first half of Blueberry Lane was in pretty decent shape, but the second half was in pretty bad shape. I know that's not on the schedule for this year, but you said, I think you indicated that is a public way.
but it's a road, town.
It's a town-owned road? Town, okay.
You know, when you talked to me, you thought it was.
I thought it was private.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not private, okay. All right, just keep it in the back of mind that we should be considering paving that thing next year, because at least the second half of it looks like a disaster.
Well, you know, I guess my question is, we're gonna have a road committee next year.
Hope so.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that should be something put in that file for then.
Yep. Okay. And just one comment about the salt shed, looks really good, but I know you need to backfill around the walls. Just for an engineering point, don't backfill more than 3 blocks up 6 feet.
Yep.
That should be about the limit for the
Yep.
cut fill.
Yep,
Good enough. Thank you.
thank you.
And I did have one note from the planning board, and it looks like that Valley Road may be a town road before this winter. This one,
Yeah, we're just
maybe
waiting
give you the
for
heads up.
as-bills.
Yep, yep. That's all I have for you.
Well, I got one question for you.
Go for it.
We ordered a Dodge pickup months ago. I'd like to cancel that one and buy a Ford. That's what I really wanted when I presented it to the town administrator at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who switched it on me, and I didn't know.
Okay.
It was gonna be a Dodge until he brought it to you guys, and you guys voted on it.
Do you
And
remember?
I don't remember that there's a particular sway involved, because I think the Dodge was considerably cheaper.
About $400.
I thought it was more than that, but,
Wow.
yeah.
The biggest problem I is get passed for that Dodge. Right now, the state of New Hampshire has proposing for a Ford,
Mm-hmm.
so we're gonna get 30% off on all the parts and stuff. There's nothing on the state bid sheet for pricing for parts.
Oh, yeah, because that company is out of Connecticut, right? Was that the one? That
I
was-
don't know if it's out of Connecticut or if it's Hillsborough. I haven't got that information, so I couldn't tell
Okay.
you.
Peter, you say we ordered one. Did we sign a contract of some sort?
I don't know, Scott handled it all.
Could you look into that, Jim, and see where that
I'm
is?
gonna need your help looking for it.
Yeah, see what our obligations are. If we signed a contract, we may be
Yeah,
obligated to
well, if we
purchase.
did, then that's fine, but I'm just saying,
If we
if we didn't.
didn't, yeah, let's get
Yeah.
something
When do we
comparable.
order it?
I don't know.
January?
Yeah,
This
pretty
year?
much.
Yeah, January or February, because it's before the election,
Yeah.
because David was a part of the board at the time.
Oh. This was, and this, the payment for this was to come out of
Capital reserve.
capital reserve. Okay, stop by tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
We'll fix this.
Yep.
God, he's spending that capital reserve like crazy. That's gotta be
okay.
30 grand.
A little bit more, because it's fully equipped.
I think it was like 35.
He doesn't need a radio.
Yeah, yeah.
And 9-foot fishing plow on it. Nothing special about it.
Alright, so board memberships. Debbie,
Thank you.
thank you, Peter. To help compile this list of duties and board members. Mark, did you have anything for us? All right.
Same here.
Oh, and you're all done? Like, you gotta stick it out, Harley.
All right.
We don't have to go over this now, but I figured I'd just hand it out so we can kind of. It's the beginnings of where we stand at any given point. And I think this might be good to go into some type of binder that gets handed down, updated and handed down regularly.
Yeah. Okay.
At your own discretion, you know, if you wanna review it and look for inaccuracies or points of question, we can review it at another time.
Yeah, I mean, Jason will want to be in on this
Yep.
as well. Okay. Okay. Looks like we got several expirations on the zoning board
Mm-hmm.
that we need to reappoint. And if we are thinking of reappointing, my question is, do we have anybody to appoint? And I think the zoning board also has alternates, doesn't it, Jim?
What's that?
The-
The zoning board of adjustment can have alternates appointed by the selectmen.
Okay. I don't know that we have or have not appointed alternates for that.
To my knowledge, the best I know of is that there are no alternates,
Okay.
Because she asked me about
certainly
that.
active alternates. Huh?
There are no alternates,
Right.
because Wendy asked me if I'd be one.
Oh, okay.
Because there's been occasion in the distant past where they have not had a quorum or not been able to fill the board with the 5 members to get a yea or nay vote.
But the difficult thing about that board is that the decisions have to have a quorum of, not a quorum, they have to have a majority of 5 members. So if 3 members show up, you can't have a 2-to-1 vote and have anything happen, it's 3-0 or everything.
Right.
Okay? And you can't, even if you have an alternate, you can't appoint an alternate to fill a slot that isn't filled permanently.
Right.
And so I think it's imperative that they have at least one alternate,
Yeah, and
if not 2.
it's also been my understanding that you have to be, if there's a hearing scheduled, a public hearing, the alternate has to be present for at least the first, for the opening of the hearing, to make sure there's some continuity if the hearing is going to extend for several meetings. You know,
Yeah,
to be
there's
fair to the applicant.
Yeah, there's something on that too.
Yeah,
And the same is true of the planning board is a little bit different in that they appoint their own alternates.
Correct.
And their own missing members.
right.
But the one thing that probably does happen is that the alternates, unless they're appointed by the chair to fill in a slot, when they're at the meeting are members of the public.
Correct.
And they're not supposed to be involved in any more discussion than a member of the public. So when they close the public portion of a meeting, you really can't have an alternate sitting at the table arguing with
Yeah.
all the other members. And I think that's been something we need to,
Well, I think the planning board has extended beyond that in terms of, they've said that the alternates will be part of discussions as well as part of any closed hearings. You know, simply, they have to take the same vote, oath of office, you know, for any time it's closed for a legal proceeding or something along that line. But they don't get to vote. That's the only differential with the alternates on the
I
planning.
think if you look into it and check with some municipal attorneys, you'll find that they're not supposed to be part of that final discussion.
Well, they-
It's been something that I've run into.
Yeah, no, I know where you're
And
coming
my
from.
concern is, if a hearing doesn't come out the way somebody wants, and somebody seems to, it can muddy the waters.
It can, but at the same time, we have alternates on the planning board that are actually engineers like Lou Garino.
But it doesn't matter which
No,
you
no,
are.
I understand, but his input is invaluable.
Well, there's nothing wrong with somebody's input, and they would have the time to give the input.
Yeah,
But once they close discussion,
right.
it's up to those active board members to have that discussion, not two alternates sitting there with,
Yeah.
not part of the vote. It's something,
Okay.
a lot of towns do what you say,
Yeah.
okay? But the take I've gotten on it, or what I've gotten back from the municipal association when this question's been asked before, has always been, they are members of the public unless appointed.
Right. But anyway, when we discuss this with Jason, if we don't intend to reappoint some of the people whose terms have expired, we should come up with some names for people who would be interested in doing these jobs. You know, and I don't know what the intention of the,
I'm the only one on the ZBA.
apparently. But, you know, if you read the statute, they continue until
Right,
they're
right.
reappointed.
Right.
All right,
All right, let's move on.
yeah.
Anyway, this is a great job.
Yes,
That is all Debbie, basically.
yeah,
No, Debbie
she
just-
did great.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just-
Took a little spur, and we're working on a couple other things too, so.
All right.
Hopefully we'll have a nice little packet to pass off each year. Like
Well,
kinda,
once it gets taken care of, then we should be able to keep it
yep,
going.
yeah,
Well, hopefully.
Okay.
Unfortunately, a lot of things get lost in the passing.
correct. So we gotta get it through at least one cycle.
Yeah.
Alright, so, did you have anything for us, Roger, before we go into old new business, or are you just hanging out?
No, I don't have anything, I did give the AP stuff to that, you can do whenever you want in the meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
So I'm not gonna wait for that, I might need
alright,
any time to.
yeah. Yeah, we'll probably, finish it, like, at the end of the meeting,
Okay.
we've been going through those packets. Do you need it now, or, no, okay. Alright, administrators report,
Okay, I got a couple of things. Some of it good news, some of it just plain news. Okay. 11 Temple Road,
yeah,
Better Homes and Gardens. Okay, anyway, I got a call from Eric Marr, the attorney. He's actively working on it. I gathered up all the information I could find in the folder,
yeah,
and he's got everything we got, plus he may have some other stuff. So he should be getting back to us, you know, in not too long a time, because we want to get rid of this thing.
yeah,
Okay, my main reason for bringing it up is to let you know the attorney is actively pursuing it. He's gotten everything from us that I can find to give him.
okay,
So he's gonna go from there, and he'll come back with some recommendations.
okay.
Jim, just a question, point of information. The gentleman who was originally working on Temple Road, he has returned it to the town? Or what is?
No, it's a lawsuit.
Oh, okay.
We have a lawsuit,
Okay,
okay?
then I'll talk to you separately about that one.
Yeah, there is a lawsuit, and we took it back and he sued us. That's the short of it.
Oh,
And if you
okay.
wanna take a look at some of this, I have. The ARPA grant, okay. We got money coming. These you can keep. I just want you to have those. Okay, so, we look at this. It looks so far pretty simple. We have 28,000,
No,
wait a minute.
check your comma.
No, sorry, Ray.
282,000.
$282,295.63 coming. And that's half of it. That's half the payment, okay, and then it goes into how we came up with the formula as to what we got. Our first report is due October 31st. That's a special day. And if you look on page 2, we have a list of things we can do with the money. So, my suggestion is that whatever we do, we have to hold a public hearing, we have to notice it, and I'll get you the statute on that. Because this is unanticipated grant money, and if you're gonna accept the grant money, you have to have a hearing. So we can support public health expenditures, address negative economic impacts, replace lost public service revenue, use this funding to provide government service to the extent of the reduction in revenue experienced due to the pandemic, provide premium pay for essential workers, and invest in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. Well, those, but actually, if you read them carefully, it's a wide range of stuff.
Yeah. Well, what if, and, you know, this just kind of goes along with Peter's shortage on money for vehicles, and that supports stormwater infrastructure and digging culverts and fixing roadways and environmental. What if we use that money to buy our vehicles? Or at least make a hell of a down payment.
Which vehicle?
We need a new front end loader. We're gonna be needing a new dump truck. Put those two together, you could spend $280,000 in a heartbeat.
I wonder if that's too much of a stretch though.
It supports storm water stuff. I mean, you know, moves material around, fixes the culverts, fixes things that are necessary, and it's definitely infrastructure.
I don't know if you can buy the tool to build the stormwater infrastructure, or if it's for doing the storm, I mean, I don't know the answer.
Well,
I have
I
no
mean-
idea. I think whatever we come up with, unless it's very obvious, we gotta double check it and make sure we,
Okay.
but
Well,
we should hold a hearing to accept the money, and also at the hearing to discuss possible uses. And between now and the time we hold the hearing, we
Yeah.
can research possible uses.
well, you know, I've been going through the literature that I've been able to find on the internet, and I have not found anything that said this is a definitive use.
I haven't either.
And I know that the governor's office has set up a special office to discuss the use of this money or to help towns manage this sort of money. Maybe a call to the governor's office might be worthwhile to find out.
Well, I do have a contact that I
Yeah.
can go to. It's just that I need to know what some of the ideas are.
Well, I think they should be handing us ideas, saying, this is what other places are doing with it. You can do it too. I mean, you know, we can come up, if we can find something that is like a template for how this money is being used by other towns, we can manipulate that template into something that we can use. You know, we can adjust it, tweak it.
No, no, I understand where you're coming from.
I'm willing to stretch the bounds of this thing.
I don't know if you noticed this, but there's a webinar that you can go to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know if it's
I've
helpful.
watched those.
You have, okay.
Yeah.
Helpful.
It's the same vague stuff, this is where the money is supposed to go, but they don't give specifics, and that
I mean,
just drives me crazy.
one thing we might wanna do is, you know, the board can brainstorm and get public input as to what the best uses are for this $564,000. Okay, what is the best uses? And then see how we can apply that, because, you know, what's the best use for New Ipswich?
Yeah. Sean, I think what we need to do is just set a date for a public hearing, and
That's what I'm saying. And,
invite the public and come on down.
How
And
about the 13th of September?
that works for me.
That's-
13th?
That's the
Wait.
Tuesday after Labor Day.
No, isn't it the 14th is Tuesday?
Right.
I'm only gonna be here for half a meeting for that day.
No, it's the 13th, I think.
Is it?
isn't it?
What-
Pretty sure.
Check.
I think the 13th is.
Because our next one's on the
Wait a minute,
31st.
maybe I got it wrong, but I thought the 13th was a Tuesday.
You're right, Bert. Yeah.
So Monday?
Yeah, 14th is a Tuesday.
14th is Tuesday, and I'm not gonna be here for
Okay.
that full meeting. So if you wanna do it earlier or the next meeting thereafter, which would be the 21st, I'll be
Okay,
here.
21st.
Yeah, 21st.
Okay.
Because if it's public, you have to notice it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
We
I'll
have to-
get, I'll get this, I'll pull the statute on noticing it. And,
Yeah.
And basically, you know, it gives the board a chance to individually come up with ideas, and it gives the public a chance to show up and give their ideas. So.
Yeah, and, you know, the thing is if the public doesn't hear about this, we're gonna get 3 people to show up. Is there any way to get the word out that we really wanna get some public input on this? You know, I don't wanna have 500 people in here, but if we could get 20 people with ideas, that
Well,
would
we
be
could
great.
probably, line up the school, because hopefully this will be something that people will come out and voice their opinion on.
I don't know if we get that big a turnout.
No?
I'm thinking Jim, I think we'll get maybe 20 people.
Maybe it'll look like a candidate's night, but,
Yeah,
you
something
know,
around.
one of the thoughts I have is that we can put it on the web.
The website.
We can let all the other boards know about it, okay?
Yeah,
You know, we will publish it, at least, of course, to whatever extent we have to by law, but we can make sure it's on the web and
it's in the
well known.
ledger anyway.
Yeah, we could, you know, we could do that, so,
You know, I mean, it costs us $150 or so to publish something like that in the
yeah,
ledger.
and we can just let people know, and just make a little extra effort to let people know that we have this money, it's been approved. Here, you know, I have no problem letting people read this, okay?
Yeah.
What we got, and just bring us what you think we need the most. What's the most good we can do with this?
Yeah, you know, with the understanding that we do have limitations.
Yeah, and one of the things we can't do, and I think with grants in general, we can't take the money and then say, oh, well, to make this work, I gotta add another $10,000, I'll take it out of this budget. We can't do that. In other words, you have the authority to accept grants, but then, and I'm talking about in general, okay? I don't know about the difference with this, but in general, you can't accept a grant and then just, you know, discover that to make it work, you gotta put in 20% that you never budgeted, that you never knew about.
Right.
Okay?
I don't think there's any matching funds that the town has.
There's no matching funds with this.
Right, right.
This just comes.
Right. The other question I had about this was, we obviously have to file some sort of report on the 31st of
I'll
October.
find out exactly what that is.
What does that encompass?
I don't know that we have to have spent the money by that.
Correct. But we have to tell them
I
what
think
we're
what
gonna use
we're
it
doing is we're gonna hold a public hearing on the 21st in accordance with RSA such and such, okay? And that we're working from there, and of course, that's the 31st is a long way to go from there, a month later.
Yeah, the problem is we're in the middle of budget season right about that time too.
Yeah,
All right.
okay, so,
Question in the audience.
huh?
We have a question in the
Yeah.
audience.
Alan?
You say that's about half the money? Is that the public hearing that you plan on having on the 21st, is that for an expenditure of that half of money? And then goes through the same thing again? Or is the public gonna be coming forward looking to spend the full amount?
So I believe it's like
You know what I
that.
mean?
Well, we're accepting at the hearing, we have to decide to accept the money
Except.
and then come up with potential
okay, well,
uses
you're
of
asking
the
the
money.
public to come up with ideas, but
For
Yeah,
the whole,
for the whole.
yeah.
the whole.
Okay.
It said, this says, this first payment of the LFRF funding is
The
equal
public
to
hearing
half the
is-
total amount. So
The
we're gonna.
ideas in the public hearing is to spend 500 and whatever.
Correct.
Okay.
The reason they're doing it this way, my understanding, is that if we can't come up with the ideas, they're not gonna give us the second
Well, I
half.
understand that, but before, I didn't know if you were going to say, well, how do we spend 250,000, and then how do we spend 250,000? It's how do you spend 500,000?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the thing you're asking the public.
The whole
Correct.
enchilada.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think I mean, you know, if the money's sitting out there, it's, you know, we might as well use our piece of it, because what we don't, somebody else is gonna use.
Yeah, they just take the money away from you and they hand it to another town and redistribute
So
it.
I just really wanna make sure that we, utilize it correctly.
Yeah,
And we're not,
it's a mindful.
stretching the rules at all.
Mm.
Okay.
And it'd be nice if they defined.
Well, I wanna know what the
define
rules are,
parameters
you know.
A little bit
How
better.
can you cheat if you don't know what the rules are?
Next, I have a request for $20,440 from the trustees. And this is a reimbursement for from Article 10, which was the assessing expenses for the cyclical revaluation. Article 10 raises and appropriates, or raises $20,440 and takes it from
Mhm.
the capital reserve, so.
What's the use of that money?
The use of that money is for listing and measuring properties, taking pictures and all that other stuff, for the cyclical revaluation.
Oh,
Does
okay.
not include the day-to-day stuff from building permits and things like that.
All right, so, is this an annual thing?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a little squirrely, but at this point I wouldn't change it, because we put in, I think, $20,400 in the capital reserve, right, Roger, something around 20,400. The big article with all the stuff in it. So we give it and we take it, okay? It's
Yeah, like the
kind
next,
of insane. But we got a book.
so we have to, plan it out, cause it's a 5-year program, right?
Right,
Yeah,
but the previous board wanted to do it this way, put in, it was the same amount until you get to like the 4th and 5th year, and then it becomes different. They wanted to put in and take out the same amounts. They had an argument with the Board of Assessors, who really could care less. Any way you want to do it, do it. So I suggest we keep doing it this way for now.
Do you need a vote?
No, you need to sign it.
no,
to
just
get the
assign
money.
it.
Okay.
This year it was 30,000,
What's that? What did we put in?
the capital reserve, but we don't have to take it all out. Whatever the difference is, we can just leave in the capital reserve.
Right, but we're taking out the 20,440.
Yeah,
Because
out
there's-
of 30,000, that was clear.
No, the 30,000 was put in, we can't touch.
Why is that?
Because
Correct.
you can't take money out the year you put it in.
Well, I guess that's a questionable thing, but,
Then you got,
in the end, we'll have 30,000 in and we'll take the 20,440
right.
out. But the thing is this 20,440 has to be from a previous year then, if you say.
It is.
Okay.
Oh, there's a pile in there.
But what I'm saying is, we're not putting in 20,440 and taking out 20,440.
No, but it's pretty close. The 30,000 goes in.
So we'll have more going in the capital reserve that will stay in there.
Well, the reason is we have a balloon year in year 5. The payments are higher because there's more labor. So we put in and we take out, we put in and we take out. But we're not taking out the money we put in.
Yeah, cause what was put in 2020 was 15,000. But I remember when we went through all the math and worked it out,
You
it
got a
ended
chart,
up being
you got
pretty
a-
tight
yeah,
at
you got a
that,
spreadsheet from
in
before.
3 years, yeah,
Yeah, it works.
yeah.
So if you look at the article for 2021, you'll see what was put in.
Yeah,
And
30.
it was light the year before.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's why we had to
Yeah.
go up a little bit, Roger, cause it was not enough the year before. There's enough money to cover
You guys will
the
sign that, I'll give it to
20,440.
Bendy and look at the check.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Good enough, Jim?
Yeah.
Triple the quotes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And the trustees chairman is aware of that this is coming.
Mhm.
Okay, you know, that, okay. I got something here, we had a right to know request, okay, from a business in Florida asking for purchase orders and purchases in detail going back to the year 2015, okay? And it came to Debbie, so it's been hanging around a while, so I answered it. And I, you know, I just, in case somebody comes back with it, I want you to know about it.
I think you mentioned this before, Jim.
Thank you.
With their collection, okay. And what we did is we denied it, for a couple of reasons. Number one is we probably couldn't find what they wanted anyway. We'd go nuts. But New Hampshire right to know law, if you read it carefully, allows any New Hampshire resident or New Hampshire person to come to a town and examine town records. And they wanted us to compile a report. We'd have to actually take raw data and compile a report and upload it to them. We don't have to do that, okay? So we denied it, and their answer was, thank you for following up. I will make note that per New Hampshire law, you are not required to provide electronic documents and that you are denying our request. Consider this request closed.
Seems meek and mild enough.
Huh?
That's meek and mild enough.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm gonna guess they have some worthwhile research they're doing, but I can't run a report from the computer and get all the purchase orders.
Yeah,
Going back to 2015, this isn't gonna happen,
yeah.
okay? So, but I want you to be aware of it,
Yeah, no, it looks, I don't know, scammy to me, but
So,
okay?
I got a question.
Yes.
On the maybe I already gone past this, but the revaluation capital reserve, it says that at the end of the year, we had 17,000 in there. So if we can't use that 30,000, I don't know if we can take the 20 out. There's only 17,000 in there.
Is that the,
This is the December 31st, 2020, showing what was in the capital reserve.
mhm. This was all.
Okay, yeah, I guess there was some income, and then it says principal and income, I guess. And then ending market value, I don't know if you can use that, but. I
Yeah,
guess
so
you
that's
could
what you use, the
use
ending
it in-
market
okay.
value.
So then there's enough in there
Yeah.
for that, then.
So I know I checked it, the
Yeah.
ending value,
Okay.
Yeah.
This isn't one of these things where you're gonna only use the income or something like that.
All right, so then, at the end of next year, we should have 30,000 plus a few thousand, so we should
Yeah.
have 30-something thousand at the end of 2021.
And then the reason is that, like, the little bit extra, because I forget what the amount that we have to put in this year. We, like, at the end of the 5-year period, we have to do a bigger
Right,
audit.
Okay.
So, and I think that cost was 35,000, Jim, something like that.
so,
But this was like,
Yeah,
this was only the second year, so we got 3 more years after this.
yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Thank you, Roger.
The last thing, let's see what else I got. Okay, the last two things, I guess, just kind of what I want to give you, and I want to talk about, I want to keep the board very much informed on where we are expense-wise and revenue-wise, conscious of both. And so, what I have here is some printouts. Okay. I have revenue. Okay. Here's, no, maybe there's two for them. I'll keep these over here. Okay, there's two revenues, okay? And they're not, it's a revenue summary, okay? And on the back of that, the first page, okay, I hope you got this one. What you have is the first page shows all the revenues. And the number you want to look at is the middle column, 1804632. That's the current year budget. Now this is going to change. And I'll explain. And then you have a form, MS 434. And that form, if you get to the tail end of it, has the same number. Okay. This form we will be submitting on or about September 1, when it's fine-tuned, for the purposes of setting a tax rate, subject to revision when the rate's set. So this isn't cast in stone. We can alter this. So, and I can send this form up. Okay. So this is part of the tax rate setting. And I want you to see that, you know, we are now in sync. We show our budgeted revenues. And this is fairly close to the revenues on the MS 626, which was the official budget of the town before voting. Okay, so, and what I want to do is to be able to, and how often do you want it, be able to see this revenue and how it's going. The biggest item in here is motor vehicle. It's the 900-pound gorilla. It's 107,000. It's 1 million. I get this right. Okay, 1,750,000 out of the 1,804,000. So it's the big one.
Oh, 1,075,000.
Yeah, 1,075,000. Yeah.
Now, is that what we collect from motor vehicles that we don't pass on to the state, or is that total collection?
No, that's our net.
That's our net, what we put in our pocket.
That's what we put in our pocket.
Okay.
What we collect to the state doesn't even show here. It doesn't even really go through our books. It goes through our computers, but it strictly goes to the state. And, you know, building permits, we estimate right now 41,000. That may be a little high, okay? But no, we're pretty close. We've collected 26. We got 35% left to go. We got a third of the year left, okay? And so we will be taking a hard look at this when we get into October, and we can make revisions, and we can submit revisions, but we have to have the initial in by the first. You look on the last page, it talks about unassigned fund balance. I know what the accounting system shows. It shows a little over $2 million. But I think it's probably a little bit less because some of the stuff's going to be, there's going to be some encumbrances there that the accounting system didn't account for.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, they're there, but it doesn't come out that way. So, but we're pretty close to $2 million. So that's a discussion for another time, but something will go in there. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we don't have yet any emergency appropriations, and we don't have any money voted town meeting from fund balance. And then you put in fund balance to reduce taxes, and that's a final decision you actually make when you're setting the tax rate. All the way up to the moment you set the tax rate.
And then if I, okay, alright.
So I wanted you to see this 434 form,
Mhm.
and just see that we want to keep this in sync with this.
Yeah,
Yep.
And I guess the question is, how often do you want to look at this? Once a month?
I think that would be plenty. I
Hmm?
mean, it probably, you know, it changes, 10% a month or 9 or 8% a month.
Yeah.
So forth. Just a question on this. Where is the revenue that we, for property tax? Is that
It's
on?
not here.
It's not here.
And the reason it's not here is the revenue from property taxes is determined by what we vote to spend and how much revenue is here.
mhm,
Okay.
In its simplest form, you take all of your revenues excluding property tax. You subtract it from what you voted to expend. And that's gonna be your revenue.
yeah,
That's what you're gonna put on a warrant and go have the people pay.
Yeah,
So we don't put that on here because we don't know what that revenue is gonna be.
right. And this in and of itself is also just a projection, correct?
And well, there's actuals here today.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
but,
this column, yes, it is a projection,
right,
but the final projection is when you set the tax rate.
right.
So, you don't wanna wildly overestimate the revenues, like some governments do. Otherwise, you shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or we'll have a stimulus package.
Yeah, stimulus package, okay.
Now I have a question. How come, like so for the revaluation, that 2440 that we just signed off on
Yeah,
is shown as revenue here?
because that is revenue against that expenditure in Article 10. The trustees of trust funds is separate from the selectmen,
Yeah.
separate from the treasurer. That is money that was put away. That's now gonna be revenue come in to offset that expense. I have to show it coming in from somewhere. And so
Right.
that's why it's there.
Right.
Okay.
It's like balancing T accounts in a income
Yeah,
statement.
yeah,
And basically what you're doing is you're transferring the money out of a pot that's over here into the town funds, and then the town funds then balance it back out by the expenditure.
if you were to look at
So it should always come up to zero.
the spreadsheet you signed when you did the budget for this year,
Yeah,
it's called an MS 626. That starts with all the expenses, and that then has all the revenues, and that revenue you'll find in there. And then it ends up with, the amount to be raised by taxes, which is a guess, okay? It really is a guess, okay? But you ought to be somewhere in the ballpark.
yeah.
So,
So with the items that we were discussing, even like the loader this evening, like if we decided to pay for that, out of the capital reserve accounts,
if you bought the loader out of the capital reserve account, it wouldn't even show here.
because it wasn't a part of a warrant, or,
What would happen would be is you would have an expenditure, which is authorized.
Yep.
You're authorized to purchase it.
Mhm.
And you would have a revenue that equals it, and the whole thing would zero out.
No, I get it, and that's what I thought this would be too, but I guess because it was on the warrant and it was planned, then you have to show it, like as income
I have,
or revenue,
I budgeted an expense,
yeah,
which I said is coming from a separate fund,
yeah,
okay? So I gotta show that money coming in. In other words, when you do that 626, that spreadsheet budget of the town,
yeah,
it's a balanced budget. It's got expenses and revenues, And it even includes, to balance, to come up with zero, it includes a projected property tax. So, the whole thing's got to balance.
Yeah,
And so, when we go a little further into this, what I was thinking of doing is, it will take some time, and we'll go through, before we actually do it, we'll go through a whole tax rate setting, because, you know, it would be better for you to see all the components of the tax rate setting before you actually have to go do it and think about it. This way, you know, we'll do a dry run.
yeah, okay.
But to answer your question, that 20,440, that belongs there. And if you look at it, it says current year budgeted, current year revenue is zero. Well, we don't have the money yet.
Yeah,
So I got 100% left in there, okay?
okay.
Jim,
And
how
when
long
you-
do you think a walkthrough would take?
What's that?
How long do you think a walkthrough with a dry run would take?
I think we could do it in an hour.
Okay, I'm reluctant to use selectmen meeting time to do that. We should probably do it, we'd probably have to do it as a hearing or a meeting of the selectmen, but it should be an independent item to blow an hour into something like that.
A training meeting.
A training meeting of sorts.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, when I came here, the first thing I said I wanted to focus on was the setting of the tax rate, make sure the components are all headed in the right direction, and they are right now. And then the next thing, of course, in September, is to dive headfirst into the budget. And I'm ready to start making and printing budget worksheets. I'm all set, ready to go. Just a couple of keystrokes away.
All right.
And so, but I really want the board to understand all the components and the moving pieces that go into the setting of a tax rate.
Yeah.
Because you have the ability to some degree to manage the tax rate for the town. You can't manage the entire tax rate because you got too many other big pieces out there.
Yeah,
But, one in particular, but, for the town, yeah, you can manage the tax rate.
Yeah.
You know, and how much fund balance should a town keep? Well, obviously enough to have cash flow.
Yeah.
Okay. How much should be returned to the, and some of that's philosophical too.
well, and that's where, I'm looking to have, chomping at the bit to have that greater discussion, down the line here,
Well, I
so.
mean, that's one of the things we would probably include in a training session that Jim mentioned, where we can ask those sort of questions and try to get a feel for how the big picture works. And I'm concerned that our fund balance is not adequate. That it's actually a little bit on the low side, particularly with people having been out of work due to various issues over the
I think
last
you're
year
gonna
and
be
a half.
pleasantly surprised.
Mhm. So we can go through that
That's a whole
at the
nother-
Yeah,
appropriate
it's
time.
another
Yeah,
discussion,
yeah.
but yeah, I think we ought to do it outside of a regular select.
What I
board
wanna
meeting.
at least bring to.
Well, not that discussion.
No.
No.
Yeah.
What I wanna bring to you guys is, what are all the pieces that go into it? What do we have to prepare? Who prepares what, okay? And even touch on the county and the school and the state piece of it, okay, what they have to, because it all has to come together and all the little chunks that go in here.
Mhm.
But last year, we didn't have things done in time, and this year, I mean, I'm not getting into why, I don't know
Yeah.
what. But this year, I wanna make sure things are done in time so that people get their tax bills, they don't get them on Christmas Eve. Okay, you know. They get them at least, maybe beginning of November,
Mhm.
something like that. So, I got that. The other thing I got is okay, here we go.
Everybody's got to keep it.
Let's do it this way. I got if I run a detail by account, it's 14 pages. I got one more.
One more for this one?
Got one more, well, no, I got two of these. Okay. Okay, this is the entire budget with capital expenditures.
Okay.
And let's see. It's two pages. Two pages, yeah. And this is by grouping it. And where it says undefined sub-account, I gotta go fix those. But it's grouping it by major account classes. And then on the second page at the bottom, it has all the warrant articles lumped together. And those are, it's called warrant article expenses, but that's really capital. Those are things that qualify as capital. And so, you know, we're not in bad shape. We have a check for $20,440 that has to be reversed. It got printed by mistake, so there's a little more left. So overall, you know, we're headed at the end of August and we got almost 50% left.
That's a good thing.
But we do have a couple of things that we have to look at.
Yeah.
I've had nothing spent on landfill cap testing. And on bond payments, looks like we have a bond payment coming up, because I went looking for that today, too. The bond
Yeah.
payment's on the transfer station.
I mean, why would you think that we're in good shape? I mean, yeah, it seems like, you know, we've got 48% left, but was last year's budget messed up, or people just aren't spending, or what's going on?
Well, I think we're actually looking fairly normal for a lot of this stuff. A lot of the spending across the town budget is not linear, okay?
Right.
I mean, you have a big ticket item, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, the old story used to be right after town meeting when they bought a couple of vehicles or something, everybody ran out and blew all the money on capital items at once, and then the treasurer had trouble finding the money to pay for it in May before the June tax bill. So, but just looking at the budgets overall and going down through them, it doesn't look like we have any really significant problem. You know, we're over in some places, a little light in others, but you know, it's you know, like if you look at communications, we paid that whole thing up, paid for the whole year. That's on top of page 2. And on the other hand, landfill cap testing and maintenance, we only spent $1,000, that was to mow the lawn. But there's testing that's done at the monitoring well. I do have a couple of questions that I'm gonna go look at. I think one had to do with expenses, and I think if I remember correctly, it might be in zoning. The zoning board had to do with postage, where we budgeted $1. And yet we have a big number there. Where did the reimbursements go? Didn't we get reimbursed?
Yeah, we collect.
You collect, but I don't know where the money went. I mean, it's in town, don't get me wrong, okay, but it could be sitting in some other account.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things like that I gotta go look at, but.
Yeah, I wonder if she breaks it out or if she just puts it in one
Yeah.
account.
And one of the things I have done is where the state standard chart of accounts had items with a different account than we did, and there were a couple. Like ambulance was in a capital account. Ambulance is not a capital account, it's a payment to a contractor, to a vendor.
Right, but
Okay.
it was approved via warrant article, wasn't it?
It's approved on a warrant article, but just because it's a warrant article doesn't make it a capital item.
Right.
It's on the warrant there because nobody wants it to be in a budget that gets cut. So they put it out there knowing that probably 60% of the people are gonna vote to have the ambulance, and the other people, they always vote no anyway. So, but now the ambulance sits over, it's on page 1, 4215-1, it's down near the bottom, and it's right in there.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, I got, you gave us 2 sheets,
I have 2 sheets.
but I think they're the same. Are they
You got
not
2
the
that
same?
are the same, okay.
Yeah,
Let's see, how did this thing print?
yeah, I got 2 the
Because
same
it's
as
like
well.
back and front.
Oh, wait a minute, here, wait a minute, hold on,
I was reading, like, how come it's repeating?
hold on.
Because we do everything twice.
Just to make sure it's done right.
Like, I keep seeing that 2440 all over the place.
Okay, wait a minute. Yeah.
What sheets do you have there?
Well, no, I think it's only supposed to be 2.
Oh, all right.
You
Like,
got-
and it's
you have
front and
two-
back.
You both have the same 2?
Yeah, I have the
because
same
it's just the
too.
front and back. Like, it printed on the, like, both sides.
Oh, okay.
So there wasn't actually 2 pages, like, it was just
Oh,
one
okay,
page.
okay. So you got 2 copies of
See, I
it.
thought you were just screwing with me.
No.
You almost got me too, Jim.
You know, 5 o'clock when this thing starts, I'm hungry, it's the end of the day. But anyway,
Well, 8 o'clock, I'm surprised I caught
I
that.
know. So here's my question.
Almost went to,
How about I email you, all 3 of you, budget summaries
Yeah,
at the beginning of the month for the month
Good.
just concluded?
That's fine.
Okay?
hmm.
And that maybe at the first meeting of each month, we have them available if the public wants to look at them. Okay?
Sounds like a great
You know,
plan.
I want people to see it, I want you to have it. And then if you have a question, you can bring it in.
question. I mean, this is public information.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be worthwhile posting on the website?
I think it would be a bit of a nightmare trying to publish the monthly budget on the website.
Well, I mean, just a brief summary. I mean, I doubt if anybody will look at it after the first time, but, you know, it's
I
sort
hate
of.
to add something to somebody's desk.
Well, I'm just saying that you know, if we're managing it at 48%, you know, still unexpended, it makes us look pretty good.
But that month that you have the big expense, like. for the
Yeah,
winter,
then we
it's
look
gonna
like,
so
We got a
so
couple of
good.
big expenses coming, a bond payment.
All right, yeah, it was just a thought, you know, I mean.
No, I don't have a problem with the idea. I think there's nothing wrong with the idea. It's just, let us get a little better organized
All right,
first.
let's
Okay.
leave it alone for the moment.
For the moment, yeah.
Because like the ZBA expenses, it's one big check, and is it going into one account instead of being broken out into the 4 accounts?
Right.
So let's
And
get
I
that
have to take a
started.
look at, and because it looks like we blew the daylights out of the postage. And the postage, we only budgeted $1. That's a reimbursement.
Yeah,
The postage is a reimbursement.
but I mean, it's like, you know, the town book that's published, you know, that you pick up at the voting booth. Nobody reads that thing to speak
That
of.
thing, I don't, do we have that online?
You'd be surprised.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't, like, I had it, it was supposed to be in on like a Monday, and I got it on a
Yeah.
Tuesday, and people were coming in on Monday, where's the book, where's the book, where's the book?
All right.
And yes, it is on, the last couple of
All
years
right.
are online.
I just didn't think anybody paid that much attention
Yeah,
to it.
you'd be surprised, I didn't think so either.
Mm-hmm.
I don't wanna publish a name, but this is, we don't need to go into a non-public session, but if you just wanna pass that around, okay? That's got to do with our employment compensation. Which doesn't, your premiums are very minimal, we don't have to write checks for that, it's all covered. And, so we're fine, but it just,
There was no dispute?
No, this is, we can go into non-public if you wanna
No,
speak
no,
about
no.
it, cause I,
No.
there's nothing we can do.
yeah.
All right.
It is, it's kinda is what it is, but it's an FYI.
18.
And the other thought is, there's nothing to stop us if we have checks to be signed or vouchers, you know, to be signed by the board and to be reviewed. They don't have to be done during a meeting by law. So if we had those out here ahead of time, most of the time.
Yeah, I
If you
mean,
came in, let's say, at 4:45, 4:30, and you wanted to sign off on, you know, and then the only thing is, if there's something in there you want to bring up during the meeting, then do
then
that.
that's the time to do it. Yeah, because on the 14th and 28th, I was gonna come in about a half hour early to sign off on the vouchers.
And most of it, we got, like I said, we got a lot of stuff sent up to the auditor.
Some progress. All right, I got one other item. Sean, is this a good time, or do we need to?
I just don't understand what this is.
What's
Because
that?
it doesn't even seem like it has anything to do with us.
It really doesn't, but it's an ex-employee.
Yeah,
It's an ex-employee who is getting workers, getting unemployment, not workers' comp, unemployment. And our unemployment insurance is very low, and it's covered by that. And it's just an FYI, because they're gonna show a little piece of that unemployment belongs to us. It's just like, I'll give you an example. You have a firefighter in town, and I know they're really pretty much volunteers, but it's paid on call, and so they are employees.
Yep.
And if they lose their primary job, let's say, and they go on unemployment, we get notified and we have a little tiny piece of it.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad when you're dealing with a municipality, but when it's a smaller company or something along that line, you know, it can kick your unemployment rates up significantly. You know, I
Yeah.
ran into it when I let go a couple employees and my unemployment rates went up 30%.
Mhm.
So it can be a hard knock or not. All right.
Our unemployment rate, our unemployment.
No, the other question is,
Really low.
on this one is, this person has not been employed here for
Quite a while.
a while.
And if you look at the dates, like the benefit dates.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
already like passed. I just don't understand.
Yeah,
the
it's a done
notice.
deal.
At all.
The notice is confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great, there you go.
okay. Got one other item that I'd like to bring up.
Okay.
It was in the newspaper last night in the Ledger regarding a computer hack in Peterborough. They lost $2.3 million.
Was it a hack or someone just falling prey to a scam?
I'm not 100% sure, but they certainly lost the money, and I don't know if they have any recourse available to them to recover that money, and I'm concerned that we may possibly fall prey to the same thing, but, you know, I think we have some safeguards in place. Jim, would you like to speak to
Yeah,
that?
I think this is what it appears to have happened, based on what I've read, okay? From several sources. Somebody mimicking Conval School District sent an email or emails to the finance department in Peterborough, or that got to the finance department in Peterborough's town office, changing the account number for the monthly ACH, which is over $1 million.
Yeah.
That they sent to Conval. So they just plugged in the new one, set the thing off, and then somewhere somebody realized Conval didn't get their money, and somehow they figured out the money went to the wrong place.
Yeah.
And it's gone, it's now Bitcoin somewhere in another part of the world, okay? That was in July, I don't remember the dates. But they made some payments to Beck and Belushi, who's building the bridge. It said two payments. and same thing. So it begs the question, what kind of safeguards do we have? What kind of insurance do we have? For us, it'd be interesting to see how the insurance plays out on this, because we have the same insurance. We're insured through Primex, and there's another company that's involved for insuring against certain types of internet theft, let's call it. The thing is that, first of all, we're not sending ACHs and huge amounts of money to any private contractors. We're not doing that. But it seems to me that and I talked to Roger about it, okay, because he's the guy that pays the bills, and also, you know, he's the guy who would set that up. And, you know, we decided we're gonna pay the school with a paper check now.
Yeah.
But just to acknowledge the fact this can happen, you know, 55 cents is worth it, but we don't even have to pay 55 cents, because Roger's the school treasurer. So if the school sent over something that they changed the account, Roger would be scratching his head wondering why they did that and didn't tell him. He's a treasurer, okay?
Yeah.
So we have kind of a different arrangement. But the thing is don't take any of this stuff that comes in at face value. If the school were, forget the fact that Roger's involved with the school. If the school were to send, let's say, I was to get something that says change the account, I'm gonna call them up. Is this the account you want, what's going on, everything else? And I think we kind of learned our lesson when we overpaid the school.
Yeah.
We have to look at the payments we make. Obviously, you know, if we paid a bill that was $50 or $75 and it was, somehow we got taken in on it, that's one thing, okay? But we pay large amounts of money out, and we need to keep an eye on that stuff, so.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be buying a front-end loader and making payments of 20,000 plus, you know.
We're gonna send a check.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I'd hate to send it electronically and have it go astray.
Yeah, checks work pretty good.
Yeah.
They still work, so we put a stamp on it, okay, we'll live.
Okay.
And,
We also have to remind the people in the office to be careful. That right to know request you had, they were asking for our financial institution name too.
oh, they were asking for everything.
Yeah, it felt scammy to me, but, you know,
Yeah,
who
so-
knows?
Well, let's assume, you know, I looked at it as a right to know request.
Mhm.
They didn't ask for bank account numbers, but you know, they were asking for stuff that was, I just thought, too much. And the point I tried to make with it was, I don't care what you're asking for. You're sitting there in Florida. You're a business.
Yeah.
If you read the first part of the right to know law, it says a person, a New Hampshire person, can walk into the town office and ask to examine documents.
Yeah.
It doesn't say you have to upload them to them.
No?
It doesn't, and that's not the first time I've used that, because what they were asking for, we couldn't come up with anyway. Purchase orders from 2015?
Yeah, but they find out, okay, TD Bank is a financial institution, then they reach out under some other name and say,
Right.
we're calling from TD Bank and, you know, we're changing the account numbers.
I did call there to see if they had a phone number, and I got the person's voicemail, so it sounded good, okay? But I'm a person who doesn't donate money to anything that I get on a text message or an email. If I want to donate something, I will search it out myself, or get involved with it.
Well, I've had the joys of viruses, hacks, ransomware, and everything else, so I'm extremely paranoid about that stuff. It just costs huge amounts of money to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very easy to hack a system.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but
you know,
I think
based
you
on
can
what
buy
I
it,
read,
hacks.
based on what I read, I don't think Peterborough got hacked per se.
No, they
I
got-
think they got scammed.
Right.
Okay.
Social engineering.
But those type of things are seriously on the rise. I mean, hacks are up to triple what they used to be a few years ago. So, I mean, you know, if Colonial Gas Pipeline can get hacked, we're just little guys. We can get hacked too.
Yeah, it's just a question if somebody's gonna be bothered to hack us when there's somebody bigger, but they hack the mom and pops.
Yeah.
They'll hack somebody for $5,000 in their bank account.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, some of the requests are for $500, you know, in Bitcoin. You know, and it's
I got
ridiculous.
a letter. I'll show you after it's not letter. But it's something that leaves one scratching their head. And boy, does it look legit. It might be.
Yeah.
That's the thing, I don't know.
All right,
But it was a paper letter.
okay, that's all.
Ready to go into the boring part?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll send them this way. That's the good stuff.
I think it's safest in this, right?
Yeah.
Actually, you can adjourn the meeting and do that, unless you're gonna sit and argue over some of the stuff in there.
Yeah, so we have the door open.
Yeah, and there, nobody was on here, so.
Huh. How do you feel? You wanna let Ron go, or
Yeah, move to adjourn.
I'll second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah. A motion to adjourn is always in order.
Good night, Ron.